just wait and see, give everybody a chance to get on. Hello. Geez, Cheryl, I feel like I just spoke to you.
So much.
Cheryl and I literally were just talking like 10 minutes ago. Okay, let me see if I can put my earpiece in. So
I've missed you so much.
I know, it's good to see you. Okay, let's see if that works. Admit. Hold on one. Oh, it did work. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you got
okay,
someone
great,
peeking
great,
in the
great.
corner there behind Sue.
It's my husband, Brad.
How are
He says
you?
hi.
Hello, welcome. Okay.
You can't hide.
Can't hide. No.
I think everybody's here. Well, as people join, I'll admit them, but I think everybody that tried to join is on. Okay. I think so. There's more people on, but I think we can't see them, but that's okay. Okay. So hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining and for participating in the membership. I think this is going to be really fun. I wanted to do like get together with everybody. And am I looking at you or am I looking slightly to the left?
You're looking slightly to your
left.
right.
Okay, let me
You're
try.
right.
Oh, that's beautiful right there.
Okay, that's better. All right, that's better than I have you all up and down. Okay, so I thought with the membership, it would be a great idea if I got together once a month with everybody for an hour and just opened up the time for you to ask any questions that you have. I do have a suggestion. If you are not speaking, can you put me on mute? And then if you are speaking, then if you come off of mute, because then I'm hearing everybody's background and you'll be hearing everybody's background. But I thought I wanted to spend about an hour a month with everybody to open up time so you can ask any questions that you have about any of the things that I share on the membership page, which is the spirit focus topic or the tarot card draw. If you have personal questions, you can also ask personal questions if you don't mind asking that in front of everybody. If it gets too involved, I would suggest that we have a personal session, but I'll let you know if I can't answer something easily or in a way that it would be applicable to everybody, everybody that's on today. You don't have to ask your questions out loud. You can type them in the chat. I don't know how that works yet. Oh, yes, I do, because Marissa just sent me a thing. I do have Marissa, and she's going to help me get the chat questions. That's my daughter. So she will be monitoring that if you choose to do it that way. Today, during our time, okay, okay. Somebody else was coming, so I just wanted to admit Kim into our time. So what I'd like everybody to do is just send out a little prayer to your loved ones in heaven, because they're your guides and they can help us answer lots of questions today. And also for your own spirits, and please include God in our time together today. We get good answers if he's involved. So I think we should make sure to do that today. And I can open it up to you guys, and whoever wants to begin or ask a question, or if you want to learn something, I can teach you something. If you just have general questions, I can do that, whatever you guys want to do. So who would like to start?
I will.
Okay, thanks. That's
Okay.
Pam. Thanks, Pam.
Hi, everybody.
That's my friend. And I told her, I was like, you got to get on and you got to ask questions if everybody gets stage fright, including me. So I was like, so just in case, you have a question, that would be great if you could ask. So, okay, Pam, what's your question?
Okay, so if you have a dream so when I dream, sometimes I'm actually in the dream, like participating in the dream, and other dreams I'm actually watching the dream happen. Mm-hmm. So my question is, why is that, and what does that mean? And then if you could add on to it, does it mean anything if a dead relative is in the dream?
Yes. And that's a good question. But basically, we have dream state. And when we sleep, our human mind is sleeping and our spirit mind is more the more dominant self. So think of kind of like the sun and the moon. The sun would kind of function like your human brain, and the moon would function like your spirit brain. So during the day, the sun is in control. During the day, your human mind is in control. At nighttime, the sun sets, so does your human mind, because you start to relax and you kind of, when you start to fall asleep, your human expression is just coming into a very peaceful balance. When that happens, your spirit mind starts to take over, and that's what has the dominance over your body. So just like the sun and the moon, the human consciousness and the spirit consciousness, they are parallel 2 times a day, at the moment of wake and at the moment of sleep. So sometimes you'll wake up from a dream and you'll remember immediately. When you wake up, you'll remember everything about the dream, and you'll be like, oh, that's a really cool dream, at the moment you wake. But then you get up, you get your cup of coffee, you get ready to go to work, and what dream? You don't even remember you had a dream until later on that day. Your friend says something about a sale at Jewel, and you're like, oh my God, that reminds me, I had this dream last night. And the whole dream kind of comes rushing into your brain. Has everybody had that experience before? Okay, so what that means is that there's like a transference. When you wake up, as your consciousness wakes up, your human mind takes dominance. That's why you are able to remember the dream right at the moment that you wake up. So when your spirit is in dominance and your human mind is sleeping, that's when your spirit can relay any information that they have for you, where your friends and relatives from heaven can connect with you, where you can go to heaven and visit with the people that you love, where you can put a question out in a prayer, possibly before you go to sleep, and your spirit will do the best to answer that question during the night. Some people can lucid dream, which means that they can be partially conscious in their human mind in order to direct the dream. That doesn't happen with most people. That's pretty unique from what I understand. I cannot do that. So there's different levels of dreaming. In your first level of dreaming, it's where you are a participant, like you feel the feelings, the experience feels real, you can smell it, you can taste it, you can touch it. You're a full participant in the dream. When you are a full participant in your own dream, what that really means is that you have like an internal communication from your spirit. So however you translate that dream, it means that you're supposed to apply that to the relationship that you have with your own spirit body. So it's an internal issue to you. It means something about you. So that would go that dream wants to give you guidance of some sort, or wants to answer a question of some sort. So if you have a dream where you're involved in a war and you're actually a soldier and you're in the war and you're in the battle, depending on the nuances of that dream, if you participated and felt it, it means you're having a war inside of you. That means that you're separated from yourself, or you're trying to find some kind of balance. So you're in an argument with yourself. So if you woke up from a dream like that, at the level of participation, you would be able to say, oh, okay, then there's an inner battle happening in me. And what am I in disagreement with myself about? What is my brain telling me to do that my heart won't let me do, or vice versa? And you try to define it in that manner, because that would be the overall concept of that dream that you participated in. There's a second level of dream interpretation where you're not participating in the dream. You're kind of like above the dream or off to the side, but you're watching a scenario unfold, or you're watching a scenario occur. That would mean that's called an external dream. And that means that you really are supposed to pay attention. It's almost like your warning dream, like, hey, pay attention to the players in this dream. Who are they? And what's happening with them? What am I witnessing here? Because that means that you will actually be involved in some scenario like that, that prompts those same emotions and those same feelings of something that you're witnessing. And it would be that it's kind of almost like premonition style or a warning style. So you would want to pay attention to those dreams that you are a witness of. There's also a location in the second dream style. There's a location thing. So if you're up above it and you're looking at it, or if you're off to the side or off to another side, that would mean different things to you. Usually if you're up above it, it's going to happen to someone that you're not really emotionally dependent on maybe somebody at work or a neighbor. If you're off to the left or off to the right witnessing, it's really going to touch your life. It's going to touch your friends or your family. And that would be the scenario that you were looking for in that external dream process. The next dream style up is, and there's 5 total, but the next one up is number 3. And that one deals with where you're both a participant and a witness. And what that would mean is that something that's going to happen that you're going to be a witness to or involved in, it's going to hit you emotionally, like it's going to affect something in you. So that's where both of those perspectives would be apparent in that 3rd dream style. The 4th dream style is where you are connecting with a friend or a family that has passed away, and you're having a conversation with them, you're seeing them, talking to them, or you're in an experience and maybe you don't see them, but you know they're there. Like you're hearing them or seeing them, touching them. This actually is not a dream. It's actually where you've reached a part of your consciousness. Like we have 5 bodies. We have a human body, but we have in that human body, we have a physical self, we have a mental self, we have an emotional self. Then we have something called the transition self or the transition body. And that's right before we have the bliss body or the spirit body. In that 4th body out, this is where we can connect with people that are in heaven and people that have gone before us. So when you have a communication dream like that, you're actually kind of completely out of your human body and they're transcended. They've kind of met you in that meeting ground. So you're actually having a visit. And that visit is exactly as you perceive it, exactly what is said. That's what's said. That's the conversation. And so that conversation happens so that when you wake up, you can recount the conversation so that you could take that then and discern, what are they talking to you about? What was that dream? What was that meeting about? Okay. It's nice to get those. I don't get them very often because I talk to them all the time, but if you get a communication dream, that's really nice. I get one of those a year with my grandmother. Those are beautiful because you really feel like they're there, because in that meeting ground, in that transition body, you have access to the physical body and access to the spirit body, and they do too. And so that's why it feels like you actually smelled them and touched them and hugged them, and that's awesome. The 5th dream style is where you are connected to like other light beings. Like maybe you have a dream with the Blessed Mother, or you're talking to a saint, or you're living in Jesus times, or that would be where other light beings are connecting with you. Maybe you have a dream of an angel, different things like that. The next dream style up, that's like, well, you have one in there that's psychology. It means that you ate pizza too late at night and the dream means nothing and it was just psychological, and you'll be able to pinpoint it because you won't be able to apply anything to it. It's the most ridiculous kind of dreams that you have, that they stay with you because they were ridiculous, and that's because you probably ate something that didn't agree and your brain did some stuff because you had too much sugar. Those dreams are also there, and that's what they are, just dreams, and your neurons working. The next dream style is actually death. And that's where you completely release the conscious physical human mind and you exist in the bliss body or in the light body. And that's to answer your question about dreams, dream styles, and how that transition happens. What we know about that is that when I started to explain it, I said that you could forget the dream, remember right when you wake up, and then forget it until the middle of the day when somebody says something and that whole entire dream pops into your head. What that teaches you is that your soul or your spirit can talk to your human self and provide it information at different and random times during your day. And so when that whole dream pops back into your head, you didn't previously remember it and weren't trying to think of it, it means that you received some communication about an experience that you had during the hours of sleep. So your spirit took that opportunity to throw that information back into your physical body, and that became a memory then, although it just popped into your head. So it just teaches you that there is a communication happening between your spirit body and your human body. Was that too long-winded? Because I can cut those way shorter, guys.
No, that was great.
That's good. So
Okay.
Nikki, I have a
Yes.
crazy question. It's
Sure.
crazy, and it's definitely going to take probably a session to ourselves. However, so we honestly, we have a cabin in Wisconsin, and it's
Okay.
it's
Let me
me.
tell you.
Help.
Let me tell you. I saw your message this morning,
Oh,
and you sent it days ago. So when I saw it on the thing, and I was like, oh my God, she sent this days ago. Why did it just pop into my feed from the website? And then I thought maybe the contact thing was broken. So I read it and I prayed about it, and you don't have anything bad in there. It's like it's not a negative energy. But go ahead and share the story so everybody kind of knows what we're referencing here.
it's just super weird because there has been this energy. We've seen this black orb. My daughter, her boyfriend, they've been touched by this thing. My husband's been touched by it. It does things to the electrical, the microwave, and it just feels like, I know you talk to spirits. Like, how do you know if it's positive or negative? How do you get rid of the negative stuff? Why? I don't know what
If
to do with
you,
this.
I can tell you this, and this goes for everybody. If it was negative, you wouldn't even have to ask me if it's
Oh.
negative. It would almost suffocate you. You would never have, if there was anything demonic or of negative energy or stuck energy, you wouldn't even have to ask me that question. There would be no doubt or anything. The reason that you see a black orb is because our human conscious, you know how I said your spirit has one set of vision, your human self has another set of vision. Your spirit has 360 all the time, even though you don't. So your spirit will perceive motion or energy around you, and your spirit sees it. And by the time you register that you see it, now you're like taking over. You're like, your human eyes are taking over. And so you don't get to see the extent of what it is. You see it in its transition. So you'll see a gray, you could see like a gray cloud, you could see a darker cloud, you might even see one of color. It could depend, but it really has no significance whether it's a white orb, a red orb. You know, that would mean something specific to the person. Traditionally, when people describe it like the way that you're describing it, I always go way deep into the earth. Like my whole spirit goes way deep into the earth, which tells me that it's ancestral. It's not like, it's like above you guys. It's like grandmas and great grandmas and people that frequented that area then, because your more colorful orbs are people that are more recently passed. And you can define them almost like, if you see a yellow one, I'll be like, okay, so who was the opinionated person in your family? And then you would be able to tell me, and I'd be like, well, that's who that orb belongs to. You know, if it was a blue orb, I'd say, who was the loud one in your family? She's female. Then you know who that is because she never shut up. She kept talking and talking. So when I see more, when people describe the energies in their homes that they see, they get scared because they say, oh my gosh, it's like a gray energy. No, it's only gray because your transference of, you know, they say when we are in the eternal light of God, it is light. It is bright. It's like the sun. It's an indescribable light that just envelops you, right? That's your eternal eyesight. So if that's your eternal eyesight and we don't see that way, when we try to grasp that, we don't have that sight. So it looks gray because we're coming back into our human perspective. So the light reference feels different. So people get concerned, but what that tells me is like, you guys have a very solid ancestral past. Like you might be able to even tell me grandmas and great grandmas, because those are the people that are in your home. And one of them is actually a farmer or had land. And that might be, I don't know whose side of the family that is, but he worked the land and he was like a farmer and he's the one there. He does a lot of light tricks in the house. So
yeah. And the dogs growl at him and we felt touches from this thing. So it was scary.
yeah. The dogs, when they growl, it's not my dog told me one time she was barking. Pam, you were over for that, but my dog was barking out the back door like they're crazy. And I hope they don't disrupt us during our hour, but they're loud. And so I got pissed and I was like, "Ruff, ruff, ruff, ruff," and I started barking. And my dog turns around, and I communicate with animals, and turns around and she goes, "What are you doing? You don't speak dog." And I was like, "Well, what are you saying? Why are you barking like that?" And she goes, "We're not communicating in the bark. Like there's no words going back and forth. They're not talking to each other in the bark. They're reaching the same vibration." So the bark is like, they come to the same frequency. That's why they bark. Then you'll notice dogs bark and then they're silent for a second. And then they bark again and then they're silent for a second, because they communicate in the silence, but the bark is what brings them into the same vibration. So usually when animals growl at presences that aren't there, they're bringing themselves to that low vibration to connect with that energy's vibration. So like my one dog really perceives energy. About 10 minutes before I'm going to have a reading, she'll start growling and then barking, the closer and closer that energy comes for me to have the session. So that's why the dogs will react. If the dog is not thinking that energy is okay, that dog wouldn't even go inside that house.
Well, that's true.
So if
That's a
the
great
dog goes in, if the dog goes in, you're good to go, because the dog will not let you in, and the dog won't go in, because they
Thank
can
you.
already feel that vibration. So if your dog is like able to sleep and hang out and lounge, you ain't got nothing to worry about.
Thank you. Thank you.
I would have been scared. I've been sleeping in the car.
I was terrified. We were
Oh,
terrified.
hell no. Something touching me, I'm gone.
Terrifying.
Yeah, that really is just, sometimes a spirit touches for something. So like if you feel that on your back, think of why would a spirit, somebody that loves you and your family, why would they touch your back? Have you been having back pain? Is it consoling? Are you sad about something? If they touch your face, are they just saying, "Oh, I love you"? If you feel it like tingle your brain, are they giving you some information? Are they going to answer? Are you going to come to some kind of clarity from them? What does it mean to you if you're in a conversation with somebody and someone touches your arm? Does that mean that they're your friend? Is that because anything that they touch in you or on you, it's not about them wanting to invade your space. That touch means something to you, or they wouldn't touch you there. Do you see what I mean? So a lot of times, like when my grandma comes, my head will tingle. Like I'll literally feel like someone took a balloon and like rubbed it on my head, and it'll feel like my hairs go out, because I know that that's just, okay, she's going to be telling me something. I'm going to have some kind of clarity. But if my grandma comes and I feel like she was paralyzed from a stroke on one side of her body. So if I all of a sudden randomly out of the blue, I'm like, one side of my body feels like it's paralyzed, that means she's in the physical world with me. Like she knows the shit happening in my life today, and she knows how I feel, because her touch is more of a physical expression. So it might feel weird if you have felt a touch from spirit, but that touch always means something in your translation. So if someone on earth did that, what would it mean to you? Why would that be important to you? If someone touches my arm, to me, it means they're my friend. Like if they touch me, like, oh, or they're like, oh, wait till I tell you. Like that to me is like, oh, you want to hang out? Okay, cool. We're friends. Like we got that, and that's really what that's really what that means. So that's nothing to fear. It's actually something to like, say hi. Hi, how you doing? And I do believe it is the farmer man, because he likes to do a lot of stuff in the house. He's your footstep guy too, because of his boots. Do you hear footsteps?
Creaking.
Yeah, yeah. Like if someone was walking and it like it makes the floors creak.
The floors creak, yes.
Yeah, he's heavy to to the earth, he said. So yeah, that's what that is. Yeah, just say hi, make him a cup of coffee, black
Black
with no
coffee.
cream.
Okay. Okay.
You'll have to investigate if he liked the black coffee with no cream, because he's literally just showing me black, like black coffee.
Oh, okay. We'll do it when we go up next. Thank you, Nikki.
Awesome.
I won't be
sure.
afraid. We're not going to be afraid anymore.
No. Okay. Anybody have another thing? Yes, go
do.
ahead, Donna. Hello.
Who's going next, Donna or me?
Whoever. You can go next.
Okay, so I mean, I never see orbs or really feel much of anything, but sometimes I get, premonitions. But I have a question about
Well, you
what your
don't
gut-
trust your intuition. Hold on, because as you're talking, your spirit literally went right up above you. Like you said, you go, I don't see orbs or anything. And your spirit literally like went up and was like, she just doesn't trust me. And so how many times do you find yourself saying, shit, I should have listened to myself. I totally knew that was going to happen. Or you say, I knew it. Yeah,
Yes.
because you do. Your intuition is very crown based, third eye based, throat based. So you're not going to perceive in the way you think you are. You're very spirit energy. So it's in your brain, it's in your vision, it's in your communication. You might just be talking to somebody and say, well, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Just you think that's, I wouldn't be surprised. And then 3 days later it happens and you're like, shit, oh my God, I just thought that, but like, I just thought that was my own idea. Like, so your spirit, even you can still ask your question, but your spirit is really acknowledging that you do get most of your information through the thoughts.
Okay, so the thing that's been bothering me a lot is the
Mhm.
vaccination. Okay, I have not received the vaccination yet because,
Okay.
and I have a healthcare badge. I could have gotten it in January, but I haven't really been working. I've been getting my other people my therapeutic music hours, so I haven't been there. And I didn't initially. I thought, okay, I don't need it right away. Let the healthcare workers get theirs because there was this shortage. Well, and then my husband got sick in February, March, April, and I've been taking care of him 24/7. And once I could get it, it was like, well, I can't afford to have side effects right now, whatever. But now there's really no excuse. But there's something about it that's been telling me, don't get it, go and get it. So I don't know if it's a premonition about what happened to my husband. So he got the second Pfizer shot and had a heart reaction. He had myocarditis. He had chest pains for 11 hours, went to the ER, almost had a heart attack. And I know that this is a documented side effect. Well, that scared the bejesus out of me. But, is it in a gut feel? Is it something in my head that I'm afraid of? And then I went to see my doctor, Heather, who is she does like homeopathic stuff. And she's more, anyway, she said, oh no, Sue, if you're going to get it at all, you got to get the Johnson & Johnson because you have Hashimoto's disease, which is autoimmune disease. And I'm still treating people with ongoing blah, da, 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 da. And I'm like, oh, is that what I was feeling? I mean, is it my head or is it my intuition? And how do I know? And what do you think?
Okay. Okay, so I will preface this by saying that everyone should make their own personal choice about whether or not to get vaccinated. And that's personal, and that's between you and God and your doctor. But I will share my opinion on that and the things that I came to. So last year, when the pandemic began and they were talking about AstraZeneca and Pfizer, making the vaccination, my grandmother, who's in heaven, who is my spirit guide, in the past with my children when they were little, she always gave me the okay to get them vaccinated. And then she did not want them to have the Gardasil one. She gave me like a no. So neither one of my children have that. After my grandmother said no, we started to hear a lot of stories about really bad side effects to that vaccination. And during their whole life, she never stopped me on any vaccination at all. And so I trust my grandmother with our medical, with my prayers that concern medical things. I trust my grandmother because she's been doing that for me since I was younger. So I default to her opinion. So last year I had asked her, oh, which vaccine do you like, Grandma? And she replied, oh, I love a Johnson and Johnson. Anytime I translate from my grandma, she's Cuban. Johnson and Johnson means Johnson and Johnson. And that was prior to me being aware that Johnson and Johnson was actually working on a vaccine. And Pam is my friend here up in the corner. Wave, Pam. So she's heard all of this. So sorry for you for the duplicate information. But I told her this last year. And so then it came out that Johnson and Johnson was doing the vaccine. So I felt that her telling me last year that she liked it, that's the one that I was going to get and my family was going to get. So I also started hearing different side effects about the mRNA one and the Johnson and Johnson one. And I asked my grandmother, I did a prayer thing, and I said, show me. She said, you need to wait 3 more weeks to get the Johnson and Johnson. And then she still has not given me the okay to move forward to get the vaccine. One of my daughters is vaccinated and my husband has had his first shot. They both got Pfizer. My younger daughter and I have not gotten the vaccine yet. So what I did is I asked my grandmother if she could show me the difference between getting the Johnson and Johnson or getting the new vaccines, the mRNA one. So because everybody's very comfortable with the chickenpox vaccine and both of my kids have the chickenpox vaccine, I asked my grandmother if she could show me a comparison between the chickenpox vaccine and the mRNA vaccine and the chickenpox vaccine in comparison to the Johnson and Johnson COVID vaccine. So I wanted to see how does it work if it's the chickenpox vaccine? How does it work if it's the mRNA one or if it's the DNA one for the chickenpox, so DNA or mRNA. So I did the first one and I asked for the chickenpox vaccine and the COVID Johnson and Johnson. So here's my vision. Don't laugh, but this is my vision. I was asking my grandmother to show me how the COVID vaccine reacted when it went into the body. So imagine one cell in your body that looks like an emoji. And it's a little yellow happy face, like emoji thing. And he is decked out soldier. Like he's got a flak jacket and a helmet and little goggles and a gas mask on the side and a canteen. Like he's got the whole workup in my vision. So he's ready. So here it comes. The vaccine gets injected into the body. And I see him pull out all of his equipment and he starts fighting and he's like chopping things down and he's winning. And then all of a sudden the battle is over. Other little cells come and battle's over and he wins and he's like standing there and he's proud of himself. He did a great job with this vaccine. So he was proud, happy. Okay. So then I asked, okay, now show me how the cells in my body will react with the mRNA vaccine. So again, I go into the vision, I go into the prayer, and I see the little emoji. He's all set to go. He is ready. Like he's ready. He's got all his equipment, the canteen, the flak jacket, the helmet, goggles, gas mask, everything. And he's ready and he's waiting. And then he goes, and his happy face turns to a sad face. All of his equipment fall off of him. And he looks at me and he goes, well, that wasn't a fair fight at all, was it? And what I witnessed was that the mRNA vaccine went in through the bottom of the cell. So it ambushed him, so to speak, and it went into the bottom of his cell. And then he became without the defenses. Then all the equipment fell off of him. And then he felt sad and he went over to the side with all the other sad cells. So I decided in that vision that I was not going to take the mRNA vaccine because I didn't want to depress my immune system, because it gave me an understanding that if I did the mRNA one, potentially my immune system wouldn't work as well as it used to for other things. So I have a little bit of hesitation for that. However, let me also say that I have a friend that I did a session for. She's older, about 65, 66. So she's about 10 years older than me, 12 years. And she has a lot of autoimmune issues. She has over amounts of inflammation in her body. And when I connected with her father in heaven, he suggested that she get the mRNA one because her own body attacks her anyway. This would make it depressed so her own body wouldn't attack her. So in her instance, that mRNA vaccine is actually better because it won't try to attack her. See? So it really is specific to the person. But when I saw that, I understood that in that vision, that's how I translated it, is that after the fact, the immune system didn't seem as powerful or capable or strong. I was in a following session with somebody else and they asked about the vaccine. And I had already, based on that initial vision, decided I was only going to get the Johnson & Johnson one. So I was in a session with somebody, and remember, I was waiting for my grandmother to tell me when it was okay to take it. And in the session with this woman, she said, okay, you can take the vaccine in 3 weeks, when I was on the phone with the woman. So the next day, they pulled Johnson & Johnson from the market because there was some adverse effects. So it wasn't available for me to take. So then I felt like, why is my grandma stalling? Okay. So then 2 weeks later, they put Johnson & Johnson back on. And I'm like, okay, we can get the vaccine. So I tell my grandma, okay, it's back on, I can get it. She said, I tell you 3 weeks. Well, it was only 2 weeks. So that means I had to wait an additional week. And I was like, okay, I'll wait an additional week. So the week passed and I'm talking to my older daughter and my younger daughter, and we're in the middle of some random conversation. And literally I felt like someone stuck a pin in my arm. And I was like, ow, and it really hurt. And my arm got red and it like swelled up and it was achy for 3 days. But I didn't obviously get the vaccine, but that's what it felt like. So my younger daughter made a joke and she said, I think you got G&J, not J&J, God and Jesus. So proceeding on with that, since that time, she has never, I've asked her, I haven't gotten the okay to go get the vaccine. And I'm just like everybody else. I'm in a battle with myself and I fear getting COVID. I don't want to get COVID. I think I'll die if I get it. But I also, it's not a conspiracy theory in my head. I don't think that the government is trying to get us. I don't think they're injecting, trackers in us or microchips or anything. I think it's a valid vaccine, both of them, all of them. But I just haven't felt, I'm struggling between my fear and how I live my life. And how I live my life is I default to my soul guidance. No matter what my human guidance, no matter what my brain tells me, if I feel a prompting or something from my spirit, I'm more afraid not to listen to that part of myself. Because think about it, every time you don't listen to your inside self, don't you say, shit, I wish I would have listened to myself. Every single time you tell yourself something and you blow yourself off, and some shit happens, you say, I wish I would have just listened to myself. I knew it, right? And we ignore it. And so when I realized that we just spend our whole life ignoring ourselves, I made a promise to God that I would never ignore myself. And that's that guidance that I have. So I'm struggling in my own personal relationship with this whole pandemic because I don't want to get sick, but I don't want to go against something that I haven't been told it's okay yet. So I haven't moved forward with it. And that's what I can share with you about the visions that I have and the struggle, because I trust vaccines. I think they're wonderful. I I saw what happens in the vision. So if my grandma said it's okay to go get the Johnson and Johnson, I'll do it tomorrow. I just haven't had that. Something in me won't let my fear of getting COVID. It won't make me go against my spirit. I'm not quite there yet. Like, you know what I mean? I haven't surrendered to that fear yet. I'm just waiting to see. I don't know why. Does that answer your question? I can't
Yes, it
tell you what
does.
to do, but
I
if you're
know.
asking if your inner guidance or what you're feeling was valid, I can tell you that you're not the only person that I feel that as well. And I do know that other people that I have connected to are also experiencing that type of something inside, but they can't quite pinpoint it. And it doesn't mean it's globally affecting everyone. What your perception is, like I said, I'm not getting the mRNA one. I didn't like what it did, but this
Mhm.
lady's father said, get it. It's great for you because now your body won't attack you because your immune system's going to get sad. So great for her, but not great for me. Maybe if I want to fight off a cold, you know?
Yes. Well, that does help because, I don't know. Sometimes I think, is it just me thinking it? Is it just my own fear? Or is this some sort of intuition that's telling me to wait? And I can never discern, or I feel like I can't discern sometimes.
What I actually love about your comment just now is if you pay attention to what your spirit did, you started to ask a question. Your spirit interrupted you, went right up above you and made me tell you about that before you asked your question. I think she answered us. That's your intuition. Literally, that's what she said before you asked your question. Like she right away, she pointed it out. She was like, oh, she just doesn't trust me, but like I'm right. And she gets a lot of intuition and it pops into her head and she just thinks it's a thought of her own, but like it's not. And that's why I asked you that. But your spirit did that before you were actually able to ask the question. So the answer is yes, your spirit body relationship is indicating to you that at this time, it's not for you. You don't know. Maybe she'll tell you something different tomorrow. It doesn't mean it's not for you forever.
Right.
It just means it's not for you today. Check again tomorrow. I've been checking every few days with my grandma. Like literally, I'm like, so anything? And I get nothing. So, but if she did, I would. And so if you're just, listening to that part of yourself, I think that will, it'll help you follow along with how you want to go forward with the vaccine.
Got it. I feel better. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome. You're welcome.
I have a question, Nikki.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So you and I both know that before my dad passed away, we developed a code word. So if he wants to send me a sign, he'll send me a sign, right? So
Yes.
I've seen it twice now since he has passed away. And we determined that is like a warning sign, right?
Yes.
So I've
Yes.
seen them. What does it mean when a friend sends you the warning sign?
It's called a shared connection.
See that?
Yep.
I got it. So she was at the Mirage in Vegas, hit a jackpot for $11,000. We know that's what happens with me as well.
Mm-hmm.
But then she sent me a picture of the bingo ball in front of the
Yeah.
Mirage.
Yeah, that's called a shared connection. So people in heaven can connect with us just through nature. You're walking through the park and a deer is like following you, a butterfly lands on you, you see that bird flying around, won't leave you alone. Like our family and friends in heaven, they are all part of that oneness and part of that energy. So they can send us messages through nature. They can also send us messages through our own self. We might say, one time I said to my mom, let me know if you're around. And then this guy cut me off getting on the highway. So I have road rage and I chased him down and his license plate said Mary Lou. And I was like, oh shit, because that's my mom's name. And I was like, okay, well, that's one way to show me that you're around, so we will see signs and outside of us that are direct toward us and right in our face. We'll also feel them. So another way that our friends and family in heaven can connect with us is, like I said, I was feeling my grandmother, that the side of my body kind of went a little numb because after her stroke, she became paralyzed on one side of her body. Sometimes you might be, having a a taste for a beef sandwich, but you could take it or leave it, but your dad in heaven who really love beef sandwiches, you know, that could be that you have a taste for a food that they have. So these are the signs and the ways that our friends and relatives can connect with us. But if they can't seem to reach us, they'll use somebody in our life to get to us. So
Ah,
that's called a share connection. So that means that your dad could get to her and she was in the right place at the right time to do what he wanted. So he unites his energy to her, prompts her to take a picture and to send it to you. So that's how he got his message to you, was through her. And so
wow.
that's basically what I do for my life, right? But the people in our life will do that. Sometimes you'll have a like a child born to the family, you know, grandpa passed away, and the grandson all of a sudden at 5 years old, like does a face like grandpa or like a mannerism. And you know that that energy is near because that person is displaying some of the traits or the physical traits or that, you know, the innuendos and the actions that they do. So they can come through, you know, like here's a better example. One time my daughter Brittany came upstairs and we were talking and I was telling her something and she hugged me. And when she hugged me, now I hugged my mother for 19 years of my life. And I know what my mother's arms feel like when they're around me and when my arms are around my mother. She passed away when I was 20. And my daughter at the time was about 18. So I knew what it felt like to hug my daughter. And I knew what her arms felt like when they were around me. But we were talking at the end of our conversation. She hugged me, but you know what? She didn't feel like my daughter. She felt like my mother. And I recognized it immediately. And I was like, oh my God, Britt, you feel like my mom. Like these are my mom's arms. And as I was saying that, I could feel that hug with my mom ending. And then Brittany obviously felt that too. And she started to pull away. And I was like, no, because now I need a Brittany hug and not just a mom hug. And so sometimes even people will participate in a shared connection like that, or that your mom or dad passed away and your sister or your brother, you're on the phone with them and they blurt something out and you're like, oh my God, you just sounded just like mom.
Mhm.
That's a
Yeah.
shared connection between that person in heaven and you through that person. So they're basically the vehicle to get you that message. And that's what would have occurred by receiving that from your friend.
Okay.
And Donna, I know you had a question, right? Oops, she just went out. Is that you? Catherine, did you have a question? Okay, what was your question?
So you kind of answered like little bits, I guess. But for me, I didn't start opening up to like messages until I had a reading with you. I had a miscarriage. Now I have my son who's going to be 2. I feel like that the soul that I miscarried really like helped me with my whole journey. For me, I wake up and I'll open my eyes and I will see, he would say like orbs, or like what I say is like above a grill, you know, like how it looks all weird.
Oh, I love that you even described that, because one time somebody asked me, how would you describe spirit? I'm like, did you ever light a barbecue grill? You know, that haze that comes up after you light it? That's literally what I see.
And it's happened so much to me. I will get woken up and I'll be like, babe, see, it's happening. Because everyone's like, you're schizophrenic, like you're crazy. I'm like, you guys, I'm not crazy. It's like some of the times it's bigger. It looks like a portal by my door or something.
Yeah.
Like right next to my bed, but it is every night almost. Multiple times I open my eyes and I see it and I'm like, let me go to bed. 2 minutes later, I open up I'm like, let me go to friggin' bed. I got a little one that's, I'm exhausted. I ignore it. But when I try to get something from it, nothing comes. I'm like, what are you? Like, who are you? What are you? I'm not feeling something attached to it, because I've had like my grandmother come through and say like, oh baby, you're going to be okay. Like with my pregnancy with my son. And I ended up carrying him full term after my daughter was 1.5 pounds. She told me that. So I know what it sounds like to get those messages, but this is different. And I don't know how to interpret it. Like, should I sit with a journal and see what comes?
Well, you know, what you're seeing is you're right in the middle of your spirit. Like you're seeing both heaven and earth at the same time. You see, you're not dominantly spirit and you're not dominantly human. You're literally in the middle. So you're almost like seeing that veil, you know, that part that combines it, because you're actually looking at the movement of energy. Like your
Yeah.
eyes are seeing the frequency of the movement of energy.
Yeah.
Energy.
Like it. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so it's really not that movement of energy, it's what causes the energy to move. Right. So that's what you're noticing. So if you sit with it for a moment, let's say that this is just your spirit.
Oh.
Okay. That it's your spirit that you are perceiving because you're sleeping and then you wake up. And so you're kind of awake and kind of asleep, like you're in that haze. When we are sleeping, remember, our soul is transcended out of our body. If you're seeing this when you wake up, your soul just isn't fully in your body, because if it is, you're going to wake up and get up.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be awake.
Yeah.
And so I think what you're actually perceiving is your own self.
Okay.
So just ask
oh,
yourself.
Yeah.
This happened to me a long time ago when I moved into this house. And so I started to do this exercise, which may help you, that if I did end up like waking up in the middle of the night and just like, and you don't wake up like you wake up from an alarm clock, you just become awake.
Yeah.
Like, right? You don't wake up. No, you just are awake. Like
Eyes and
that's just, yes. Okay. So you
there.
just become awake. So when that happens, oh shoot, I lost my train of thought. What was I thinking? What was I gonna say? Oh, so when that would happen and I would just become awake, as soon as my brain could get a hold of it, I would ask this question: why did you wake me up? That's all. Why did you wake me up? So the very first time I asked it, this is what I heard: you should take the chicken out of the freezer. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, are you kidding me? You want me to get the chicken out? You want me to get up out of bed at 2:30 in the morning to get the freaking chicken out? So I did. So I got up and I got the chicken out and I let it defrost. And I was running around in the morning. I was running late for work. I didn't even remember I left it in there. But my husband saw it in there before he went to work and he put it in the refrigerator. So I'm at work and I'm thinking, oh my God, I didn't take anything out of the freezer last night before I went to bed to make dinner the next day. And then my spirit goes, this is what I heard in my brain. When I thought in my human self, oh crap, what am I going to make for dinner? My spirit brain was like, aren't you glad I woke you up? And I was like, oh my God, the chicken is defrosted. So I realized, okay, I'm just getting guidance. And after time, it started out like these little chores, like throw in the laundry, empty the dishwasher, like stupid stuff that seriously could wait till tomorrow. It literally is not a huge
all
deal.
night long. Times I'm
But
like,
where that actually started to matter is I had some serious questions over the last several years about my life, about my daughter, about my other daughter, about my marriage, about my dogs. I mean, deep shit that I needed answers to. And I'm really glad that I listened to take out the chicken, throw in the load of laundry, take out whatever those little to-dos were, because when I started asking those questions in my prayer about life and about guidance, I would be in bed and become awake and listen for my answer. And there it was. So when that started to occur, I realized that how funny was I? Like, really? You want me to get the chicken? Not knowing that what was happening was a practice. Do you hear me? Do you translate me well? Do you understand what I'm telling you? Do you see the benefit? Do you trust that every time I guide you to do something, even in the littlest things, you're happy you do it? Because what if I'm going to get on a plane that I paid $2,000 and it's a non-refundable ticket and I'm going over the ocean and I go to get on that plane and I hear that thing that told me to get the chicken, don't get on the plane. Like this thing about the vaccine, not yet. Do I trust that? Or do I argue with myself because I paid $2,000 to get on this flight and it's non-refundable? And if I listen to my inside voice that says don't get on it, then I'm going to lose $2,000. Where if it's your soul telling you, and if you know it's your soul telling you, I guarantee if the Jesus dropped down from heaven and said, hey, your soul says don't get on the plane, you'll be like, oh, that's all right. I won't get on the plane. I won't even worry about that $2,000, right?
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to get to, that level of trust
Okay.
with our own spirit and our own inner guidance. So listen to all the stupid things. It makes your spirit's voice louder, and it makes your ability to trust your inner guidance in your soul 10 times over better than it could ever be
Struggle with that.
if you don't listen.
Yeah, I struggle
Okay.
with it.
All right. I believe, are we at 7? We are right at about 7. Does anybody have any last comments or any suggestions for your members area that you joined in for? I hope that you liked the videos that I put out there, the Bridge of Hope and the Tarot Draw, and I'll be putting the new series out in July. So, and you can feel free if you enjoyed our time. I'd like to get more subscribers too. So if you want to place any comments on Facebook or Instagram, if this feels beneficial to you, or you think other people that you know would enjoy something like this, that would be great if you could invite them to come along with us on all of this journey. Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thanks everyone for joining, and have a
Thank
great night.
you.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.